Okay, welcome everybody. Lesson 2 of the exponents unit. Today we're going to be combining the exponent laws. So let's jump into it here. So first, a little bit though, let's look at some factors and how we can use factors to combine the exponent laws. Okay, so three students are attempting to simplify the following expression. Okay, so let's see which one of the students here is correct. So if I take 3x squared times 5x cubed. Well, if I factor this, I will get, well, 3 and 1 really, so just 3 times x, then 5 here, well, 5 factors into 5 and 1, so that's also a prime number, so 5 times x times x times x. So when I combine that, I have 3 times 5, which is 15, and I have x times x times x times x times x, which is x to the 5. Okay, so x, where are we? So Laura here is correct. Again, let's look at this one over here. I have 6a to the power of 6 divided by 3 a squared, and if I rewrite that into with all the factors, I would have 2 times 3 times a times a times a times a times a times a, all of that divided by 3 times a times a. Okay, what's happening here with my, let me just, oh, that's why, okay. So divided by, okay, so if I can see clearly here, well, that 3 and that 3 is going to cancel. This a is going to cancel with add a. This a is going to cancel with add a. So my answer is going to be 2. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 a's on top, so a to the 4, and then, well, nothing on the bottom. So there's my final answer. And there we go. That's the answer they have here. So that's sort of using factors, but that's the long way. But when you're first learning how to do this, it's not a bad way to see why things work out the way they do when we're simplifying stuff. Okay. Okay, so state the simplified form of the following. Well, here we go. So I look at my coefficients first. 4 times 2 is 8. And then I have x to the 5th times x to x cubed. That's really x5 plus 3. So it's 8 x to the 8. All right. I have -7. Always do the coefficients first. Okay, so -7 times 6. And I could write all this out into factors, but it would fill the whole page here with so many a's, so I'm not going to do that. So let's just go -7 times 6. Well, we all know that's -42. And then remember this, if the brackets are next to each other, that's multiplication in between them. So then I have a to the 8 times a to the 12. So I'm going to add my exponents. So the final answer is -42 a to the 20. All right, now I'm dividing, so I'm subtracting the exponents. But again, I'm going to work with the coefficients first. I have 20 divided by 5 gives me 4. Now I put my y down. I have 20 minus 5. So my final answer is 4y to the 15. Okay, let's look at the next one. I have 30 over 45. Well, that simplifies into 1 over, what's the common denominator there for 30 and 5? Well, I think it's going to be 15. So 30 divided by 15 actually simplifies to 2 over 3. So let me change that. 2 over 3. And I'll extend my line here, and I will get b 14 minus 10. Okay, in the final answer, I get 2 over 3 b to the 4. All right, down here, again, I look at all my coefficients first. There's a 3 there, there's a 1 there, there's a 6, so 3 times 1 times 6 is 18. And then I have I have 4 here. I'm multiplying, all this is multiplication, by the way, so 4 plus 5 plus 3. So 18. How many a's are there? 9 plus 3, 12. 12 a's. Okay. Let's rewrite this one. I like to rewrite it as a fraction, so negative 16 n to the 5 over negative 2 to the n. Well, let's work with the coefficients. Negative 16 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 8. Extend my line. I have n, 5 n's on top, 1 n on the bottom, so 5 minus 1, because I'm dividing. And we get, well, there's nothing on the bottom, so I put a 1. So the final answer is 8 to the n power of 4. Okay, moving on. Here we go. I have x's here and x's here. So it's going to be x to the 5 plus 3 times y, and 8 plus 4. So it's x to the 8, y to the 12. Here I have x 5 minus 3, and then y 8 minus 4. So it's x to the 2, y to the 4. Okay, they're getting a little bit bigger and bigger here, but just take it one step at a time and you should have no problem. Here we go. Always work with the coefficients first. So my coefficients are negative 3 and negative 4. And it's all multiplication in between here. So negative 3 times negative 4 gives me a positive 12. Okay, let's work with the b's. Okay, and again, if there's no exponent, it's a 1. So that b and the c there have a 1, and this c has a 1. So let's do the b's first. Okay, there's the b. How many b's in this first part? 1. How many b's in the second part? Plus 3. How many b's in the third one? Plus 2. And again, why am I adding the exponents? Because from our previous lesson, whenever we have it's according to the product rule. Whenever we multiply powers, we add the exponents. Okay, and then I have the c. So I have 1c to start off with in the first group, plus 2 plus 1. So it's going to be 12 b to the 6 c to the 4. Okay, let me do the last one. I'll change the color here so you guys don't get bored of the red. Okay, here we go. Dividing now. Again, start with the coefficients. 10 and over 4, it can simplify to 5 over 2. Okay, now I got my e's. How many on top? 8. 4 in the bottom, so I'm subtracting because of the quotient rule, so 8 minus 4. And then I have 12 f's minus 7. So your final answer is 5 over 2 e to the 4 f to the 5. Remember, you can always rewrite this as 5 over 2 e to the 4 f to the 5. That means the same thing there. Okay? All right. Okay, more action. Okay, let's look at these. Oops. Okay, let's look at these next ones. So now I have a power of a power here. So let me do this first one the long way here. So I can rewrite this as 3x squared times 3x squared. And then I can do it, now I basically turned this example into the same one as we did above. So now I can do my 3's because they're the coefficients. So 3 times 3 times 3 gives me 27. And then x, and then 2 plus 2 plus 2. So 27 to the x x to the 6. So that's the long way of doing it. Let's see if we can do the short way here. The shortcut is this. Do you remember that everything inside the bracket gets the exponent? Yay. Okay, nothing's left out. All right, so let me do the shortcut method in blue. So, and what is the rule when we're multiplying power of a power? We have to multiply the exponents. So the exponent on the 1, oh, sorry, I just gave you the answer there. So the exponent on the 3 is 1. And then I'm going to multiply the 3. And the exponent on the x is 2, and I'm going to multiply the 3. So it's a little bit different when we have a power of a power. In this case, it's going to be 3 to the 3, x to the 6. And 3 to the 3 is 27, x to the 6. So there, there's the quick way of doing that one. Okay, so let's work on those ones for a bit here. Here we go. So everything gets the exponent. The -2, the a, and the b. So -2 squared is +4. A squared squared is a to the 4. B cubed squared is b to the 6. All right. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, lots of x's here. Okay, so I'll do the top first. X to the 3 plus 5. And on the bottom, I have x to the 2 plus 1. Don't forget the little guy here, the little 1. Then finally, that gives me, I'll do it over here, x to the 8 over x to the 3. And then x to the 8 minus 3 because I'm dividing. And my final answer is x to the 5. Okay, let's keep going here. So here we go. We have lots of stuff in the bracket here, and then we have an exponent on the outside. So let's get that exponent in there. And my coefficient here is -2. So -2 is going to get that exponent. The a is going to get the exponent. So it's a to the 1 times 3. That's how I got the 3 there. Let me make a line here. And then y to the 3 times 3, because that y also gets the exponent. So -2 to the power of 3 is -8. 8 to the 3, well, that's just 8 to the 3. And then y to the 9. Okay, let's look at the next one down here. I have, okay, be careful with the negative here. So that negative is not inside the bracket, so I'm going to leave it on the outside here. And I'm now going to work with whatever's inside the bracket here. So I have -1. Even though that 1's not written, that's really a -1 to the power of 5. Well, -1 to the power of 5 gives me -1. So that's going to be -1. And then n to the power of 2 to the power of 5 gives me n to the power of 10. Okay, now I have a negative times a negative. That's going to give me a +1. Well, +1, I don't have to write it down, so it's just n to the 10. Okay, let's look at this one. So now I have stuff inside the bracket again, and the exponent 4. My goal here is to simplify inside the bracket first, just to make my life easier here. So let's forget about the outside exponent first, and let's work inside the bracket. So let's do the coefficients first. So I have 4 times 3. And again, let me rewrite all that to the power of 4 like this. Okay, and there's my fraction. So 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 6 is 2. So I can do that all in my head. And then I have some y's here and no y's anywhere else, so it's going to stay as it is. Okay, and then I have 6 x's on top, 5 x's on the bottom, so that's going to be x 6 minus 5 is going to be 1x, okay? And now that's all over 1. So I didn't really need a fraction there. That simplified and got rid of the fraction. Okay. Next thing here is getting that exponent in there, the outside exponent of 4. So it's going to be 2 to the power of 4, y to the power of 12, x to the power of 4. 2 to the power of 4 is 16, y to the 12, x to the 4. So even though the question looked a little bit harder at the beginning, if you just take it one step at a time and simplify, simplify one thing at a time, it'll eventually work out. Okay. Moving on here. Okay, so I got a bunch of stuff. Notice the stuff that's inside the bracket versus the stuff that's outside the bracket here. So I have a 16 on the outside, so I'm going to leave that as it is there. So there's my 16, and I'm going to start with the top here. So on the top I have x cubed to the power of 2. That's going to be x to the 6. Y to the power of 10, and on the bottom I have 2 to the power of 3. 2 to the power of 3, and if you can do that in your head, that's great. Write an 8 there. We all know 2 to the power of 3 is 8, but if you don't, just write it out as an exponent. That's fine. And then x to the power of 6. Okay, so this becomes an 8. And now I can start simplifying things. Well, 16 divided by 8 is 2. X over 6. X over 6. Hey, look at that. It's gone. And what am I left with? Y to the 10. That's it. Okay. Moving on. Here we go. Okay, I can't just start multiplying these two because I have an exponent that I have to deal with first. So I can't go 5 times 4. I have to deal with that exponent because really what this is saying is that it's 5ab to the 6 twice. 5ab to the 6 and then 4a squared b. So I could do it that way, but again, that's the long way and I don't want to be doing that. So ignore that for a second. And here we go. So 5, let's get this 2 in there, okay? Let's get this 2 in there. So 5 squared, a squared, b to the 12, and 4a squared, b. Okay, 5 squared is 25. And then so I should have just done this all at once. So 25 times 4 is 100. So those guys are gone. I have a squared times a squared, a to the 4, b to the 12 times b to the 13. Okay, moving down. Right in the simplest form. Okay, negative a to the power of 6. Okay, this is interesting here. What happens to that negative? Well, that negative disappears because negative 1 to the power of 6 equals positive 1. So really, that's just going to become a to the 6. And then the same thing here. So divided by, I have a to the 4, negative a to the 4. That negative is going to disappear for the same reason because our exponent is even. So negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times blah, 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 right? And so on. That disappears and we end up getting a to the 4th. So remember, be really careful when you're working with negative signs and brackets. Okay, I'm going to rewrite that. I don't like this. So a to the 6 over a to the 4 gives me a to the 2. Okay, let's look at this next one. This is now important. This is almost identical to the one before here, but notice that the negative sign is not in the bracket. So this just stays as negative a to the 6. Okay, if it was like this, then we could, we can cancel a negative. And again, here divided by, this is the same, so that's going to become a positive. Now it's going to be negative a to the 6 over a to the 4. So it's negative a squared. So look at our answer. A little bit different than the previous one. Okay, now I have negative a to the 7. And again, that's just going to stay as it is. Divided by, okay, now what happens? Well, let's see. Negative a times negative a times negative a. That's negative times a negative. That's a positive times another negative. So that's a negative. A to the 3. So that's going to stay as a negative. Okay, negative time, let me rewrite this as negative a to the 7 divided by negative a to the 3. Well, look at that. I have a negative divided by negative, so my negatives disappear, and I have a 7 minus 3 is 4. Okay, now we're getting into some really interesting ones here, okay? All right, so first I got to simplify inside the bracket. So here we go. I want that 3, or I should say I want to get rid of the bracket, so I need to apply that exponent to everything. So negative 2 to the power of 3 is going to be negative 8. A to the 6, B to the 9. That's 1. This one does not have, this bracket does not have an exponent, so I'm going to rewrite it. Here we go. Negative 8 times 4. Now I can do that. That's negative 32. Those are gone. I have 6 A's here times 5 A's. Gives me a total of 11. B to the 16. Okay, so not so bad. It looked a little bit intimidating, but not so bad. Let's look at this last one. Sort of the most complex one here, but let's pick it apart here, okay? Here we go. Again, you always want to start here. Inside, simplify inside the bracket first if you can, okay? So let me rewrite all that, trying to get rid of those brackets. So here we go. So I'm going to do these stuff outside the bracket in blue. So 72, x to the 4, y to the 10. And now I'm going to simplify this bracket. I have an even exponent, so that negative is going to disappear here. So that's going to be z to the 8. Okay, all over. Again, let me do the 6 here in blue. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of this bracket. So I have times 2 to the power of 3 is 8. X cubed, y to the 6. And then the stuff that was already in the outside is z to the 8, y to the 3. Okay, this one is a little bit challenging, but here we go. Let's just work on it, okay? One step at a time. 72 divided by 6, well, that's just 12. I have some x's here, some x's in the bottom. Let me just, let me do my line first of all here. And I have an 8 at the bottom here, which I forgot to write. So there's that 8. Okay, x to the 4 divided by x to the 3 gives me x to the 1. I have 10 y's on top, 6 y's on top. So I'm going to be left with 10 minus 6, 4 y's. Okay, and I have some z. Look at the z's disappear. And I have finally some y cubed on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to further simplify this. So 8 over 12 can be simplified into 3 over 4. And I have an x on top. And I have 4 y's, 3 y's. So 4 minus 3 is y. So there's your final answer. And again, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. I could have started off with 72 divided by 6 right off the bat. No problem. I could have simplified the 10 y's and the 3 y's right off the bat. No problem. So you want to make your life easier here, and you want to try and simplify stuff as much as you can. So there's no wrong. There's several ways of doing this, and one's not any better than the other. Okay, just try and simplify stuff and try and follow all your steps and write everything down so you won't get anything wrong. Okay, so that's kind of it for now. I'm going to do a couple more extended questions down at the bottom. So if you're up for it, follow along here. Just 2 more. Otherwise, we can go over this in class as well. This is a little bit more challenging here. So if you don't get this right off the bat, don't worry about it. We can do it in class, okay? And you won't see questions like this on your provincial exam. This is just a bit of an extension exercise for those who want an extra challenge. Okay, so here we go. I have some crazy exponents here. Look at that exponent. Wow, the exponent is an expression in itself. It's not just b squared or b to the 2. But look at that, the base is the same. The base is b. So what is my rule when I divide powers with the same base? I can subtract exponents. So here we go. b. The exponent on b is 4x plus y. And I'm subtracting the exponent of the denominator, which is x minus 2y. Notice the bracket, because when I'm subtracting, I need to take away everything inside that bracket. So look what happens now. I have b 4x plus y, and then I have that negative is going to flip things around in there, so it's going to be minus x plus 2y. And now I combine my like terms, and I have 4x minus x. Whoops. 4x minus x is going to be, I'm going to do it up here in the blue just so you don't get confused here. So 4x minus x gives me 3x. Y plus 2y gives me 3y. So 3x plus 3y. And that's it. Okay, this one looks even more intimidating. But here we go. So now I'm going to be adding, so I'm going to first check that all my bases are the same. So base, 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 base. So all my bases are the same. They're all x. So I'm going to start at the top here. So I'm multiplying power, so I'm going to add the exponents. And here we go. The first exponent is 5a plus 7b. So plus the second exponent, 3a plus b. That's on top. And on the bottom, I have x a plus 2a minus 7b. Okay. Now I'm going to simplify this. On the top, I have 5a's and 3a's. So that's going to be x to the 8a's on top. 7b's plus another b, that's 8b's. On the bottom, I have 3a's minus 7b. Finally, now I need to subtract my exponents. So 8a plus 8b minus, and again, don't forget your brackets when you subtract expressions, 3a minus 7b. So that's going to turn into x 8a plus 8b minus 3a plus 7b. And I have, finally, I'm going to do this down here. I have x 8a minus 3a, 5a. Those are gone. 8b plus 7b, 15b. Okay, so don't worry about it if you don't get those last two. We'll do a few more in class. Okay, see you next time.